Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, April 27th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect a high of 85 degrees with possible showers in San Antonio today. Today is the last day for early voting in the local election. If you're headed to the polls today, check out our voter's guide and the complete list of our editorial board's recommendations. Election day is Saturday, and we'll have a lot more on the races on expressnews.com. Express News subscribers, you can have a ball at a future game at the AT&T Center. You can enter for a chance to win tickets to the San Antonio basketball game on May 2nd over on our website. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. Orange flames and thick smoke billowed out of a building at the former Lone Star Brewery late Saturday night and into the wee hours of the morning, lighting up the smokestack with the words Lone Star in red lettering. Firefighters were able to keep the blaze from spreading by getting between the smoldering 2-story building and a 6- or 7-story structure behind it to isolate the fire. If other buildings had caught fire, we'd have been out here till next week, literally, Fire Chief Hood said. The fire is only the latest blow to the Star-Crossed property, the subject of multiple failed redevelopment efforts and at least one other fire. Madison Eisler has all the details in her latest article. Texas's population grew by nearly 4 million people over the last decade, more than any other state in the nation, and the state is on track to gain 2 seats in Congress as its national influence continues to expand. While the figures released on Monday don't drill down into demographics, estimates until now have shown communities of color and young people drove the vast majority of the population growth in Texas, something progressive groups are touting on Monday. The national results are largely good news for Republicans, experts said, as red states will gain the most congressional seats and electoral votes, which are also based on population, while blue states, including California and New York, are set to lose them. Benjamin Wermund explains what the shift means as lawmakers in Texas prepare to redraw political boundaries. The foster care system in San Antonio is in crisis mode as the state ordered the Children's Shelter of San Antonio to temporarily close its emergency care center for children and threatened to put on probation a related nonprofit that places children in homes. The Children's Shelter had to relocate every child in the emergency shelter as of 5 p.m. Monday. The State Health and Human Services Commission is investigating the Children's Shelter about allegations of violating state standards, according to State Health and Human Services Commission spokeswoman Danielle Petrikoff. A documentary tonight explains the legacy of San Antonio's Black funeral homes and features local embalmer James Bryant. Passing On premieres at 10 p.m. on KLRN PBS. In the 57-minute film, Bryant, the chief embalmer at Lewis Funeral Home, mentors intern Claire Pierre, then a student at San Antonio College Mortuary Science program. Bryant's story will be shared in the 5th episode of the Real South documentary series. Being a mortician had been Bryant's dream since he was 5 years old and wore a black suit, white shirt, and bow tie to host his own funerals for deceased animals and insects. Vincent T. Davis shares his story over at expressnews.com. San Antonio area farmers markets are so much more than fresh produce and ranch-raised meat. You can get plenty of hot food, a fresh cup of coffee, sweet treats, baked breads, meats, and several unique food items that you may not even know have existed. In other words, there are a lot of options. So Chuck Blount visited 4 of the area's best farmers markets: New Braunfels Farmers Markets, Alamo Heights Farmers Market, Pearl Farmers Market, and the Huebner Oaks Farmers Market, checking out more than 100 different food-related booths to complete a list of the 10 best stalls with insider tips. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside of your Express News subscription. Texas lawmakers are rallying in support of a female Capitol staffer who recently accused a lobbyist of drugging her during an off-site meeting. Quote, "I am disgusted that this sort of predatory behavior is still taking place in and around our Capitol," said House Speaker Dade Phelan. If you hadn't had your COVID-19 vaccine, San Antonio officials are using every way imaginable to get you in to roll up your sleeve. After weeks of lamenting they didn't have enough vaccines, local officials now say they have more supply than demand. More than half of Bexar County residents have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, and more than a third are fully vaccinated, local officials said Monday. But even with rising vaccinations and a low coronavirus infection rate in San Antonio, the city's COVID hospitalizations have recently begun to tick up again. CPS Energy officials said charges stemming from February's winter storm, customers mounting past due bills, and lower than expected revenue from wholesale electricity sales this year are pushing the city-owned utility closer to seeking a rate increase. The Army said Monday that a soldier assigned to Joint Base San Antonio Fort Sam Houston was found dead at his home off post. 24-year-old Specialist Gerald Offer was found unresponsive at his home in San Antonio. Luxury home sales are increasing throughout the U.S., and San Antonio's market is among the hottest in the country, according to a new Redfin report. With less than a week before Election Day, money is pouring into races for San Antonio mayor and a ballot initiative to gut the police officers' union. We have a closer look at where the money is going over on our website. In the races for city council seats in District 4, 6, 7, and 8, challengers are likely to face a steep climb to unseat their incumbents. If any of the incumbents fail to win a majority on May 1st, voters will likely be asked to choose between the top two finishers in a runoff. Governor Greg Abbott wants Texans to know he's here to protect their hamburgers and brisket, even if they were never really in danger. East Central Independent School District superintendent, principals, and other administrators will embark on a 5-year leadership development program provided by the Holtzworth Center, which partners with select school districts across Texas. New research into office management techniques shows how a more nurturing approach offers promise, business columnist Chris Tomlinson writes in his latest column. With about 5 weeks left in the legislative session, we have a status report on bills backed by the Freedom of Information Foundation of Texas and the Texas Press Association, the Texas Association of Broadcasters, and other members of the Transparent and Accountable Government Coalition. Spend time with retired Army Lieutenant General Quinn Becker and Major General William Moore Jr., and the last thing they'll bring up is their significant role in military history. If pressed, the duo will talk about their combined military service to their nation that spans more than 60 years. A former Surgeon General and a retired commander of Brooke Army Medical Center, their bond is woven together by science, sacrifice, and medicine. The men met in 1971 at a training chiefs meeting at Fitzsimmons Army Medical Center, now the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus in Aurora, Colorado. 5 decades later, after war, the Pentagon, and tours of duty around the world, the doctors retired and their paths converged again. Vincent T. Davis has their story over at expressnews.com. Clemens Jr. Sanya Friendly qualified for the UIW Class 6A state championships with personal best in 3 events: long jump, 100-meter dash, and 200-meter dash. Read more about this week's top performances in track and field, softball, and baseball. Paul Stevens has 6 ways to use green tomatoes without frying them. We're talking desserts, pickles, frittatas, salsas, and more. Texas Public Radio's new opera, a Harlequin review, and more are on our list of things to do around San Antonio this week. Noted San Antonio restaurateur Peter Selig is slated to open 2 new Pearl area eateries focused on upscale Italian and fast casual food later this year. In his 5th NBA season, Jakob Poeltl, the Spurs' Sultan of SWAT, has emerged as one of the league's top shot blockers. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Tuesday, April 27th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful Tuesday, everyone.